right, it's starting. All right. So, konnichiwa. Thanks for finding us. We are
MC.
FM. Yay. Thank you.
元中学生 from a middle schooler 元中学生
All right. So today's guest is Princess, and my name is MC Kuni, and MC as in moto 中学生. What it means is moto is former, and then 中学生 is middle schooler. And I went to middle school in Japan, so I would like to call myself Kuni as a middle schooler, hence MC Kuni. And in this place, I get to invite my friends who are also middle schoolers, and they went to middle school in the US. So, FM, they are, right? So here's MC Kuni, yay, and here's FM. Princess, thank you so much for being open for this project. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Princess, I have questions.
Okay.
Because we get to talk about our middle school time. Okay. So, as you reflect meaning just look back. What kind of adjectives pop up when you think of your middle school years?
For me, middle school was kind of confusing.
Confusing,
Confusing, right? A time of exploration, so exploration. I think of new. It felt very new. I felt like it was a time. I know these are not adjectives, but there were lots of feelings. It was a time where I started to get to know myself.
You were saying confusing. When you said confusing, you said confusing, smiling. But was it confusing, fun confusing, or confusing what is going on?
So all of the ways it could be confusing, it was confusing. So I was in Rhode Island for middle school.
Got it.
And Rhode Island's a very small state. Providence is an even smaller city, which is where I'm from.
Yeah.
And it's a place where everyone really does know everyone. It was very common to go to school with your neighbors or to know an entire family just from one instance of meeting them, because people were just very connected. And so when I was in elementary school, I went to a very small elementary school.
Right.
There were maybe 12 or 13 classrooms in the building.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from an environment where I knew everyone, and I went to school in the neighborhood that I lived in.
Mm-hmm.
But when I transitioned to middle school, my neighborhood middle school was at capacity. So I couldn't go to school in the neighborhood I lived in.
I see.
And so I went to a new area of town where there were all new people. No one from my elementary school went to my middle school. So I didn't know anybody. And I was in a part of the city that I was not familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
So it was confusing because I didn't know where I was physically located. I didn't know the area. And then I didn't know any of the people or things about the community. It was all very new. And I had to figure out who I was and who I wanted to be in spaces where I knew no one. So it was a definitely a challenging experience. I work very well with like having close community. It's not always been easy for me to make friends. And so it was tough.
Right. So you didn't know anyone, and then confusing. Still in Providence, though.
Yes. Yes, still in Providence.
But still.
Mm-hmm.
And then did you get to walk?
No, I took the school bus. So this was also an experience that I hadn't had. Well, I shouldn't say I've never had in preschool. So ages 3 to 4, I took a school bus to go to school, but I don't remember, much of that experience. I was so little.
Uh,
And so all of elementary school, I was able to walk to school. And then middle school, this was also a kind of a scary thing because taking the school bus, it's a big deal to figure out where you're going to sit on the school bus. And
Aye.
if you can make friends with people so that you have a mate to kind of, ride to school with and ride home with. And I because I've always been like a bigger person. And so the bus driver and the bus monitor were very conscious that my body takes up more space. So they wouldn't let me sit where I wanted to. I sat in the front by myself.
So,
Yeah.
so adults, this monitor person is what is this? This person is an adult who.
Yes. So they are an adult who one makes sure that everyone who's supposed to be on the bus actually gets on the bus. They also, if you have to cross a street or anything like that, they stop the traffic so that you can cross the street to get on the bus. And so the monitor was the person who, if there was any reason why you wouldn't sit in a certain area, they decided where you sat. And at this time in Providence, middle schools were very crowded. They were actually doing some things that they shouldn't have done on the bus, like having 3 people sit in one seat, because there were not enough school buses to bring all of the students from the different parts of town. So they tried to make as much, space, or as many people who could fit on the bus. They had to make space for all those people. And so, yeah, the monitor, I remember her name, was the person who decided where I sat on the bus.
How did you feel?
I felt kind of isolated, because I couldn't decide where I was going to be, and then I sat by myself, and I didn't have any choice in that. The only time someone sat next to me was if they were misbehaving, and they were moved from their, traditional spot on the bus. They had to sit next to me, and nobody wanted to sit next to me, because it meant that they had less space to move around.
So how long was the commute? You wait at the corner stop near your house, and then how long? What time did you get picked up, and then?
So our pickup time was 6:30 in the morning. Yeah, and we got to school by 7:30, and we had breakfast at the school.
So you sit for an hour.
Yes.
And then you started, did you do that from the first day of the school?
Yes, yeah, all 3 years that I was there, I took the school bus at the same time to get to school. And then because school buses arrived early before the actual school day started, almost everyone who took a bus went into the cafeteria for breakfast at the school.
Any other things that made you feel confused?
Yeah, I didn't know where anything was in the building. I even going through parts of town where the school bus would travel. We went to lots of parts of the city that I'd never gone to before. At least, not by myself. I did a lot of things with like my mom. My dad was the person who drove frequently in our family. And so like I would go and do the things that they did. But so learning new parts of the city, learning new people, figuring out where my classes were. Middle school was the first time where my each class, like each individual subject, was in a different room. So learning where everything was, learning where the bathrooms were, all of those things were confusing. And I went from an elementary school that was maybe 300 people to a middle school that was about 2,000 people.
Yeah. You also said that you explored, you felt, and then, it was new, and also get to know myself kind of stage. how did you, confusing is very stressful, sounds like.
Yes.
Really, you're confused, it's stressful, but it's how did you turn those into get to know myself to, ooh, this is my new experience, to,
Mm.
ooh, this is to explore.
Mm. So in elementary school, so particularly like during that transition time of moving from elementary to middle, when I was in elementary school, I was not cool.
What do you mean?
I know, it's surprising. I think I'm pretty cool now.
What do you mean
Um,
though?
yeah, so I didn't have a lot of friends. I knew people from my neighborhood, but I didn't have close friends. And in some situations, I was bullied also in elementary school. And so I thought that middle school would be a great time to reinvent myself and for people to really get to know who I really am and to see me as not the person who didn't have a lot of friends or I spent a lot of time reading when I was yeah, I always loved, learning and I stayed to myself a lot because it was hard for me to make friends.
Mm.
And so I was like, oh, this will be a great experience for me to show people who I really am. And so it was also kind of liberating because no one knew that I was not popular in middle school because I was new to all of these people and they were all new to me. And so I got to explore the things that I really liked. And I didn't have to pretend to like things because other people liked them. I was able to try new things trying out for like the dance team or we had step dance and those sorts of things. So I was able to try out for things and meet different people who were also trying to figure out who they were too. And so it was really nice to be able to connect with people in that way. And I also came from a family that was, kind of strict. And so this was the first kind of like little bit of freedom that I had because I wasn't going to school around the corner. So it wasn't like my mom or my dad was going to pop up at school and see what was happening or any of those sorts of things. I had some freedom to try do new things and uh, meet new people and just learn new things too.
Wow. And how did it go that I'm going to explore? I'm
It
going
went
to get to know myself. How did it go?
yeah, it went pretty well. I think that I still, still in middle school, didn't have a ton of friends, but I did have, I was able to make really good friends. I was able to try out a lot of new things, connect with people in ways that I hadn't connected with people before. And I
Mm.
started to feel confident about myself. Um, I wasn't, before middle school, and middle school is also kind of a hard time too in general because it feels like everybody's trying to figure out who they are. But I started to really like who I was. And I didn't
Oh,
I didn't feel that when I was even young, like when I was really young. And it
wow.
yeah.
Okay, so I was going to ask you that what helped you, going through those like confusing and I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to intentional about it. I am going to like explore this and then use this freedom and then all those excitement. And
Mhm.
then you tried and, I wanted to ask you what helped you to stay hopeful, those
Mm.
trials, but you already like jumped that, that you became confident. So I'm going to change the question, like what helps you to stay hopeful
Mm.
just now, but what middle school confident like yourself? What kind of event or things that you did get to the point in
Mm.
middle school? That's
Mhm.
wow.